welcome to She Rolls Rogue, where it's no gi,
no rules,
and no apologies.
We're down a mic. I might have broken the cable on our fourth mic, so we're gonna get new mics sooner rather than later. Whoa, better sound. So, before we forget, I'm Chelsea Kainberg.
I'm Tori Sterner.
I'm Natalie Gransman.
And today we have Rachel Llanas with us.
Hello.
Did I say it correct?
Technically it's pronounced Llanas, but for like 25 years of my life I said Llanas because his being Mexican living in Wisconsin, family gentrification, grew up with parents saying it Llanas.
Yeah.
So it's almost like second nature to do that, but yeah. It's technically Llanas.
Technically Llanas.
Llanas.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Time out.
Okay, we're back.
And just make sure. I'm looking to see.
There's waves.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll
there's
keep
waves.
my eyes on
Okay,
your
can you pronounce
device.
it one more time?
Llanas.
Llanas.
Yeah.
Rachel Llanas. Kind of like the basketball player?
Yeah. But don't worry, if you say Llanas, I'll respond. If you say Llanas, which I've gotten a lot too.
Llanas?
Yeah, some people
They assume it's an L-I.
and I. Yeah.
Weird. Okay, well, we're off to a strong start. Down a mic, audio issues on the one mic. We're gonna upgrade here in a minute. But let's get started with our episode. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm very happy to be here.
Appreciate you coming out. I'm so excited. A little bit about how I met you was my friend April started training Jiu-Jitsu, and she's like, you have to come meet my friend Rachel. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't want to do Jiu-Jitsu though. And then years later, we ended up meeting each other. So been out to your gym a couple of times. I always appreciate when you guys have me out and let me step in.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome anytime. Anybody is welcome anytime, to be honest. I know, obviously you guys have a regular weeknight women's only class 2 times, right?
2 times. Yep.
Yeah, so I do when we don't have a huge women's program. I'm starting to get more, so I have a women's only class Saturday mornings before our kids class and our judo class. So It's open to anybody as long as they're members at another gym. And they want to drive, so yeah.
That's at 10, right?
9.
9. Okay, got it. Cool.
Looks like we're going on a trip.
One time I can make.
So just to get started, because I do want to go into the gym, but just to get started, your rank and how long you've been training.
Absolutely. I'm a brown belt, and I started training in July of 2018, so it's going to be 8 years this July.
Sweet. And what got you into it?
My husband, actually. He had been wanting to start Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. When we were living in Wisconsin, we lived in Texas for a while. He thought about starting down there, and when we ended up back in Geneva area, which is where we're based, he started training at a gym in Delavan. At the same time, I started doing yoga classes because my job was very stressful, and I'm a type A person. I need something relaxing and calming. And so we're
gonna dive into that later.
I need to balance out my high intensity stress from work with yoga. I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be good for me. And I get into my yang and whatever. And he would always try to get me to go with him. And he's like, I think you really need to come try Jiu-Jitsu. He's like, I think you're gonna like it. No, it's okay. I'm good. Yoga's good for me. So after 4 months of him trying, he finally got me to go into class. It was a Saturday. I got home. I'm like, yoga's dumb. I'm never doing that again. I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu now. That's how it happened.
I love that. So you had mentioned that you own a gym. So you own Cornerstone.
Yes. In
Delavan, Wisconsin.
Correct.
So a tiny little town over by Elkhorn, if you guys are aware of that area. But how did you, because it was a different gym beforehand, right?
Yeah, it was.
Can you tell us a little bit how you came, because was it mostly you wanted to take it over, or did your husband also want to take it over?
It kind of was not forced upon us, and not that we didn't want to do it, but in a long story short, the guy who did own it, it used to be part of Veneration, actually, which still has a location in Kenosha. Our black belt he ended up moving to Chicago, and he was going to get rid of the gym. So he's like, I can sell it to you guys and you can take it over, or I can close it, or I can have somebody else come in and take it over. And we'd been training long enough there that we don't want anybody else to come in and start running it, that we have no idea
Right.
who it is and who's just going to be maybe somebody from Milwaukee who owns it but doesn't get involved. And so we're like, okay, we'll do it. So it was July 2023 that we took it over, and we kind of said, all right, we're going to do this alongside our other professions, which I was like daytime, very full schedule with my corporate job. I'm like, I'm just gonna moonlight as a jiu-jitsu gym owner and see what happens.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
Sweet. And it was a Veneration
Yeah.
before, and then you guys changed to Cornerstone.
Yes.
How did you guys come up with that name?
So we came up with that because we've been together for 21 years now as a couple, and we had never really lived in the same place all that long. So we would, whether it was moving apartments, moving cities, we always moved frequently. And we had actually listed our place in Lake Geneva and had an offer on it right after like I started jiu-jitsu, and we were going to move back to Chicago for like the third time. And and we bailed on the offer because we're like, we don't want to leave jiu-jitsu. And it became like, the stable family support, just like the cornerstone of our life that, we based everything around since then. So it had meaning for us if you look at what the definition of cornerstone is. So as we were trying to pick new names for it when we joined the Lovato Association, that was the one that just kept coming back.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that you didn't leave because of the jiu-jitsu. A couple of years ago, I was looking at buying a house, and it was hard because I wanted to be in this area.
Yeah.
And there was one house that had the property for the horses and was like perfect, but it was an hour and 20 minutes from here. And I was like, nope, can't do it. And now I live 30 seconds up the road. So I'm like, well, it worked out. So
I don't know what I'm going to do when we buy a house and I'm not a block away. It's
I know.
really inconvenient.
I know. Every time I'm like, I should get a new apartment, because mine is like in an old building. I'm like, my rent is really cheap, and I'm also 30 seconds from the gym. Like, I couldn't get any closer unless I moved into this building, basically. So
we could probably make that happen.
So you guys can probably take over another room.
Yeah, can you guys build me an apartment in the gym?
I'm on it.
Thank you. Ken, pretty please. He doesn't listen to our podcast. We asked him last night, and he's like,
I know
no.
he didn't. No. I told you guys he wasn't going to.
Oh, man. But
Sorry, that means we got April coming, and we still got our plan. And he doesn't know about it.
yeah,
That's true.
I know.
We have to not forget about that.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just listening to episode 3 in the car right up here, so I'm like, oh, I need a plan.
Yes.
I
Yep.
Can't wait.
I'm very excited. He's gonna be like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
But back to your gym. You're our second guest. Our first guest was Rachel Malik. And so you're gym owner, so I kind of want to ask and see the route of gym ownership and also being a practitioner of the sport too. And I know people think you own a gym like you're just running classes.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot of really big misunderstandings of exactly what goes into running a gym. So, what was the biggest thing for you that you've realized after taking over ownership that you're like, oh dang, like we didn't see this one coming?
Yeah. I mean, I would say this, but this isn't really laundry. Like, good God, the amount of laundry I do every day just never stops. But no, not that. That just comes with the territory. I think, it's funny, we were just talking about this last night at dinner, because we're married, we own the gym together, we co-teach a lot of the classes together, so we deal with everything gym related all the time. And I think one of the biggest things we see is managing the members and their egos. and a lot of the
Personalities.
personalities.
Yeah.
And when, particularly at like the male blue belt level, I'm saying.
I love it.
And,
Call them out. Call them out.
because it is everybody really. Managing all the relationships and the dynamics of how to coach a group, but then how to coach individuals.
Yeah.
So the psychology that has to go into that, like, we're both experienced in running businesses, and so doing like the sales and the lead generation and the marketing and the website, none of that was really a shock. It's just like, okay, now we have to do this for the gym, but it's the relationships aspect of it, and that you're not just teaching people in 1 hour on a class, and the hand holding that you do, and some of the like walking off of the ledge that you have to do on a night when somebody had a really bad class, and you're like, are they going to come back tomorrow? Like,
Yeah.
So that's I think been the biggest thing that we've seen.
That's I feel like a lot of people think owning a business, even to relate it kind of to this podcast a little bit, is it was like, oh yeah, get some mics, throw the video on, like we're just gonna record. And now as we're like getting more and more into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this went wrong with the audio, this went wrong with the video. Like we gotta talk topics. We gotta get guests.
So much behind the scenes that people don't realize.
Yeah, and I get a little bit of background with Ken and Natalie, because I'm pretty close to you guys. But I know I don't see it all. So gym owners across the world, because this is going worldwide.
Globally.
More so members always like appreciate your gym owners, because you guys don't have the easiest job. You have to manage everything, and personalities is you should probably have a PhD in figuring people's personalities out. All of that I can't even imagine. But what do you? Because I don't know your husband super well, because I know you through April. So I know Tom's. Is he a pretty big part in owning the gym?
Yeah, he is. I do a lot of the administrative stuff for us. So I've managed like our database and all the basic business stuff of like payments, following up with new leads, getting people in for their trial classes. I kind of monitor our website, do most of that, all the finances, paying everything. So he, and that's because we have another business that he runs during the days, which he is much more the lead on.
Gotcha.
So his role in the gym, not that he doesn't help with that stuff, I don't feel like I do all that.
It's me.
It's me. I'm Cornerstone, which technically our legal name is Rachel Llanas BJJ. So we just
so you are
really, so on paper that's what it is. On the sign it's Cornerstone, but I think where he is really heavily involved, and I think we do a good job of balancing out with each other is how we think about teaching our classes. We share coaching duties. So I teach our adult classes Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday. We change it up periodically, but I teach 2 of our weeknight classes. He teaches 2, and we're constantly talking about how do we structure, what are the things we need to be working on, how do we make it the best format and class plan for our white belt brand new students who don't really understand how to move their bodies, and our brown belt who've been training for 12 years, who has done all of these moves a million times, and make sure that both sets of people are getting something out of it. So we put a lot of time, he definitely puts a lot of time into thinking about that, like progressing within the class so that everyone benefits anyway. Because we don't have the space to have multiple classes at once. We can't do fundamentals and then an advanced in a night, because we're limited with our square footage and with having a kids program too. So it's how can we get the most bang for our buck out of what we teach in our evening class. So.
Do you because a lot of gyms wow, I just had a seizure, I think. Most gyms are primarily male owned. You're seeing more like couples own gyms now, but what is a challenge that you face being a female gym owner?
That's a good question. I think that everyone respects me a lot, certainly. But I'm not always the one that they'll go to if they
Gotcha.
have questions or when they're looking for their mentor in the gym or their leader to give them guidance. Like if they have a mess and they're struggling, if they go compete and they lose all their matches, they're not talking to me. They're all talking to Tom about it, and that's okay. Like I get it. I know there's that relationship dynamic between men and men. For our females, I imagine that they'll come to me when we start to grow that, when we get more women competing. But for the most part, I think I'm like everybody's a little scared of me in some ways because oh Rachel, she's the mom and she's not gonna be nice to me and tell me the things I want to hear. So I'm gonna go talk to Dad about it. So.
Yeah. You're gonna be realistic with them and not do like the fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of how you have to be. What do you feel like you have to prove yourself a little bit more, or not at all?
Not anymore. I think, and not as an owner, but definitely as a female on the mat. When you get started, right, you're proving yourself, and I think you definitely are aware of this, and I think as well. Like when you started, there weren't many women. If it was just you on the mat, nobody's calling you out to roll. None of the guys are like white belt female can come be my partner. But then when you get to like purple belt female, they're like, let me kick your ass. Like I'm a guy and I have something to prove, so I'm gonna go try and win my round with the experienced female. So that's probably, I think, the thing that I'm trying to remember the question now, even in the first place. I just went on some tangent there. But that's probably the thing that you deal with. It's not necessarily earning the respect then.
Yeah.
So it goes from when you start just getting involved when there aren't a lot of women to then having to make sure you don't get injured from new guys trying to...
That have an ego.
Yeah. New guys with an ego who want to beat you up and then you dominate them.
For sure. That's actually one of... when I was healthy and not injured, that was one of my favorite things was when you guys would come in.
Mm-hmm.
And because Ken and Natalie would be pretty good about watching it, and like when they get the shakes, they'd be like, okay, like, well, why don't you go roll with Will now or something like that. But
you can tell when they're getting frustrated, and then we would.
Yeah. But I was always like,
that.
It was one of my favorite things because I'm like, I'm 125 pound small female, and you guys are gonna come in here and think that you can overpower me, and then jokes on you, I have your arm and it's about to snap.
Yeah.
It was like my little favorite thing. Like, I'm the little female mat enforcer over here. But once they get the shakes, then it's like, okay, now go away because you could actually hurt me.
And I do definitely, as an owner, I'm probably more cognizant now of who I roll with when it's new people because I can't take the risk of getting injured. And I teach all of our kids classes, so I'm 6 days a week. I'm in the gym. I'm coaching. In total, I've got 8 classes online if you count the women's only as well.
Yeah.
So 9 classes a week I'm teaching, and it's just too big of a risk for me when I get 200 pound brand new white belt in who I know I could control.
Yeah.
But I just have to say, I'm gonna wait until you've got more experience before I roll with you.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. What advice do you have? Because you're obviously a female in a leadership role, gym owner.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have to a female stepping into more of a leadership role where it's maybe they're opening their own gym with a spouse or going off on their own and opening their own gym, or even just stepping into like a women's program coaching position, or traveling down the road and now we're coaching the men on the competition mats.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice do you have for someone stepping into a leadership role?
I think it's important to not be afraid to use your big voice, right? To own a room and be comfortable with that. If you're 125 pounds, if you're a purple belt and you're a female owner, which often in a lot of gyms you see it's the woman comes in after training after her husband has trained, so she's usually not the same rank, but you have every right to be there. You have every right running that business. You know what you're doing, and don't be afraid of having that authority over people. I don't, I never really did. I think maybe when I first started teaching classes in Blue Belt, I felt a little uncomfortable. But coming into running the gym, it was almost second nature for me because I ran teams in my former life. So I was like a manager for big sales teams. So that managing a crowd and owning a room wasn't an issue for me. But I think those are things that women absolutely have to be comfortable with and not be afraid about, having somebody call you a bitch or like, oh wow, she's so like angry today. Or, no, this is my job, and you are here to not like be not in like the professor or student way, but just I'm the owner, I'm the proprietor. This is my business. This is my livelihood, and you are choosing to come here and work with me. So I need you to listen to me and respect me from that aspect, from being the owner of the business.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one thing that I struggled with when I started teaching our women's program. Some nights it's small, so like some nights it'll just be like me and Tori, or it'll be me and two girls, and it hasn't happened anymore because Ken saw it happen once, and I was just like, just I understand it's small, but like don't come on we have 3 different mat spaces plus the pit, and I'm like, don't come on the mat space when women's class is going on, like go in the cage and stretch because kids class is on the other mat. But there was a night where it was a small class. I think it was just me and one other person, and all the guys came on the mat and started stretching, and they all like just looked at me, and I'm like, go, but they didn't. And so then Ken got done with kids class, and he's like, you guys, like, what are you doing? There's a class going on this mat. And then there's been when I was striping someone, and they're in the cage talking, and I'm trying to like talk as I'm striping people. I just turn around, I'm like, shut up, like, shut your mouths, like, be quiet, and then clap when you hear us clap, please. But I definitely struggled with that. So that is a good piece of advice. Because a lot of it is too, like, you don't really want to come off as like, oh, she's the bitch, like, but at the same time you have to like command your room, right? So it's like a hard thing to come about.
And then like the guys who command it, they're not having people say, oh wow, he's such an asshole. Like, like, oh, okay, yeah, he's talking, and I'm gonna listen. So we deserve the same,
right? Right. Yeah. No, for sure. I like that. What is this is probably the last question I'm going to ask on the gym, and then I want to move into your other business that you just started. But what is your biggest goal for the gym right now?
Oh, that's a good question. So biggest goal, I think, for me really has been, I don't know, it changes a lot, but I still think it's been focused around just being a better coach overall, but primarily with my kids, actually. So when I started training, I don't have kids, never wanted to go that route, and now I found myself with like 35 kids.
A lot that aren't yours.
That are not mine. That I get for a couple hours every week. And that was a part of the business of like when we took it over. And I knew we had a kids program, but I hadn't really thought about it and how I was going to run it. And for the first year, while I was still, daytime working, in corporate, slavery, never thought about our kids program, and it was just kind of running in the background, and we had some coaches teaching it, and it wasn't growing, and it wasn't really, I didn't think, giving kids what they needed. And so I've started to, over the last year, dedicate a lot more time to that. And I run everything now. I'm constantly testing like how to best structure classes, have moved to a full like eco style for our kids, and then kind of blending it now with drilling and eco in a class. But that's probably my biggest goal, is really getting that to a point where I feel like I'm giving parents and kids the best product that they're looking for, the best experience that they're looking for in training. Because 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, wasn't even on my radar to be running a kids program, and now I'm like, I think about it all the time.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say about kids programs?
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, let Tori
You
ask
can
the
answer
question. No,
this
no,
too,
I don't
because-
really have anything specific to say about them.
Obviously because you guys would deal with this as well, but do you find that there is a kind of drop off age rate when the kids do the kids program before, where they're like, oh, I bring my kid in to learn some self-defense, and they do it maybe for a couple of years, but then they stop coming, maybe come back years later when they're a teen, but like, do you find that there's an average drop off rate for that like age?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Both boys and girls.
Yeah, I think. Oh, and it's an interesting question too, because at least personally, what I've seen with our makeup in our kids class, our little girls, they're the beasts. They're the ones that want to go out and beat up all the little boys, all the other girls, and they're on fire, and they take it seriously. Especially when we're doing live sparring. And the boys, they kind of, they goof around, they talk to each other. Not that they're not good, and we do have, we're starting to get some kids in their gray belt level who are able to do techniques like, better than a brand new kid off the street, and they kind of understand the nuance. But the boys still are not like super serious. I think for girls, probably the drop off, and this is more speculation, just some of the dynamics I've seen with them. I don't have enough data to say for sure, but I would say around like 12, probably, when they get into middle school and they are like, oh, I'm a girl and I want to be pretty and a girl, do girlier things or get into cheer, and then they get distracted and pulled into those other things, which is nothing wrong with having other activities. But I really want to find a way, whether that's working with parents, working with the girls directly, to be like, you can do this too. Don't give this up, because this is only going to help your confidence as you get into your teenage years. It's only going to help your other sports and activities, and it's just generally going to help you become a better human overall in life. But yeah, I think
the school activities they're very time consuming. And once middle school and high school too as well, but once middle school takes and they start, whether it's theater or whatever, it's 5 nights a week sometimes. So to fit jiu-jitsu or whatever into their schedule on top of it is very hard. My own kids, we found that with my own kids. Middle school is exactly the age that they start dropping off a little bit. Here or there. Boys too, honestly. They start getting into school activities and other things. I feel like if they start in high school, that's okay. Like, they'll be okay with that. But usually if they start as kids, there's that drop off. That's what, we've only been around for 3 years, but my husband has been teaching kids programs for 10 years. And so we've been watching that, and that's exactly what happens. But I'm with you, if we could get those girls to stay through that puberty age, it'd be pretty badass. But it's not easy.
I love all of our students, of course. Like, I want all the little boys to like go and be successful too, but my special place in my heart is for all the little girls in our program.
It's hard.
Do you guys think that there could be any, because I know like for our women's class, like at the end of the class, a lot of the days, we have all the little girls run over and they sit on the edge of the mat and they watch it, because they get done a little bit before ours. And it's just, I mean, it's like melts my heart. I'm a mom, so like all that type of stuff just gets me. But do you think that it would be beneficial to, and even if they're just like a once a month type of little event seminar or something like that, where you integrate like the women's and the younger girls working with each other to show that you can still do this, up until like, look how old we are, and that like it's still beneficial all through this time, and that's not scary just because you're working with bigger bodies and that type of things. I feel like maybe there's some of that intimidation at that age level too, of like, okay, I'm getting ready. Not only are they entering like that middle school, like that's scary, you're going with older kids now, but you have the potential to where, okay, soon I'm going to be moving up to like the older kids class, that might be a thing that's like getting them to back off a little bit because they're a little bit too intimidated to like move up from the kids to the teen or the teen to adult type of thing. That just like integrating both of those worlds would be beneficial at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, something I have done is I will talk to the parents of the handful of girls I have who are like 10, 11, 12, and I've invited them all. Said, you are more than welcome to come in for our Saturday women's class. I'd love to see them all there because you're right. I think getting to see the spectrum of ages, of sizes, of experience level, to know that it's something that they can do for life would be really valuable.
Yeah.
I haven't got a lot of them in yet. I only have one who's one of my 15-year-olds, but she's does our adult class now as well, and she does wrestling in high school. So she's not. I'm not too worried about her leaving or quitting. But yeah, I'd love to even get some of the younger ones in to just they just come watch or drill or ask questions, or you might have somebody to see and maybe start to train with to give them a feeling of the different sizes and different would be great.
I like that idea. We've done it where we knew it was a smaller kids class, and some of the little girls were getting their next belt, and so we stopped our women's class and went over there and sat on the sidelines while they all got promoted.
That was so fun.
It was so fun, and
I
they
was
all
like choking up the whole time.
I know. I'm like, I don't even want kids, but I'm crying. But that was, I feel like those girls that got promoted that day really like that too. So that's, I like that idea. We're gonna have to fly with that one, but
You know how we do things.
yeah, kids programs, the ages are odd, and I wonder if because like I know your kids are kind of where they're like, do I really have to go? And then you guys have them come, and then they have fun while they're here. But I know they don't see the men's class a lot, so I wonder if convincing one of the men that aren't a typical coach to go in and do that with the little boys or something could help the programs.
Yeah, I mean, my kids at least, enjoy it while they're here, and I feel like that's part of it too, as like on the parent side of like membership type of things, is not saying all parents are like this these days, but there's a lot of parents that just like let the kids rule their world, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of faced like a weird situation where we were forcing them to go super often right away, like multiple times a week, and we're like, we're paying for it, you're going. But then they got to the point where they were fussing and fighting every single time we were having class, so we're like, okay, maybe we're like not trying to, but like live through you guys. We're like, we're trying to push you to do this because we both wish that we would have started younger. But it's a good skill to have, and we want you to still do it, but not to where they like hate their lives, where we're forcing them to go constantly. So we don't make them go 24/7, but I feel like a lot of parents could possibly face that, where like their kids complain that, oh, I don't want to go to class, but every time I take my kids, and I'm like, no, you're going. They have so much fun. And so like that could be maybe with girls too, of like, oh, it's like a little scary or something like that, and their parents are, okay, you don't have to go again.
It is a hard balance as a parent myself, and when my kids were in it, their dad was the coach, which put a whole another dynamic to it. But it's that same thing. So my Avery stopped. I have twins. Avery stopped when she was 15, but she would have stopped by choice at 12. But they didn't have anything else going on at the time, so we said, you have to at least do this, something, because you can't sit and do nothing. But we could tell that it didn't matter, she wasn't learning, because she didn't want to learn at that point. She had checked out, she was done, there was no point in it anymore. So finding that balance between saying, you know what, you don't get to completely choose, this is an important life goal. We don't let you choose not to go to school or some form of education. So why would we let you not have any kind of physical activity? There is definitely a balance on that. But then there's also that, like you said, I'm pushing this. Is she getting anything out of it other than resentment?
Right.
And so there's this like kind of this balance you have to find, but I do think that a lot of parents give up too easily too.
Yeah.
Where the kid says, "Oh, I don't like it today," and they say, "Okay, fine, we're not gonna do it anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So-
asked that too because like I had a dad approach me who I'm friends with, and his daughter comes, and she does the kickboxing, and she had tried, I don't remember if it was gi or no gi, and she was like, I didn't really like it. But I think it was just like she had started off only doing kickboxing and then tried that, and it was a lot more physical contact, and just had that one time and was like, I don't know if I really liked that. And he hasn't made her go back since, but he's like, I really want her to give it a second chance and like try it a couple more times, maybe just feel some of the positions so that it's not so intimidating when she goes back. But he's like, I don't want her to give up, and I don't really want to allow her to give up on something she only had one time trying. And so that kind of gave that perspective for me of like, I think a lot of the parents are giving up on their kids easily too, and especially with girls, because it's like, okay, well, it is a crazier sport, and it's like, oh, I'm not gonna make them do it, but it's important.
Yeah.
And the gi is uncomfortable too.
Well, yeah.
So you got to get past that feeling of
Yeah.
uncomfortable clothing on top of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's
So-
actually, I think, sometimes with the kids when they come in for their first class, these itches on my
Oh.
neck and
A sensory
like,
kid,
it hurts.
yeah. Imagine the sensory of a kid who's already got sensory issues,
Yes.
and now on top of it a 20-pound gi
Right.
Which
Like,
is
that somebody is yanking.
why
on.
I don't force my kids to go to that class anymore, because I'm like, if I can't even get myself, because I hate it that much, to go
I
to
can't
a
put the
class,
gi on.
I'm trying to lead by example here. If I'm not, like, I refuse to do it because I just don't like it, I'm not going to make them do it.
Mhm.
I made them try it for like 6 months. We made them do it, and they just like are not a fan. And we'll force them, to go a time or two again, because it's been a while, just to still learn some stuff because they're little. But I'm like, I'm not gonna.
But the Monday night, sorry, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say for that, you just need somebody to show them how to use like a T-shirt to do a cross collar choke,
Mm-hmm.
and like these are all the things you'll learn with you'll learn things like this with a gi, so it'll teach you how to actually use somebody's shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll get them a little bit more interested. Like, oh, cool, I didn't know I could do that. Because I think those are things when I show some kids, especially like family members, or friends who have kids, and I'm trying to like maybe give them an idea of how to get in. Like, let me show you what I can do just with your T-shirt, and they're like, oh wow, that's really cool. So maybe they just hate it overall, and they're like, they know good kids.
Mine might just be like me; they can't do the whole sensory thing, but.
But they do the Monday night class. That's youth MMA, so they get grappling.
Yeah.
It's not like they're not getting grappling in there. So
It's funny because both my kids both like different things, though. I mean, not shocking, they're two different people. But my older one, he loves kickboxing, and I feel like it comes a little more natural to him. But my middle one, he actually likes no-gi a lot better. But we can never get to the kids' no-gi class, so he just has to go to kickboxing because that's the one that. And he's just not as much of a fan of it. But I'm like, it is what it is right now. But they don't ask to do any other sports. Like, they are not interested in anything else. So I'm like, well, you're not, like you were saying, you're not going to not move your bodies.
Yeah.
You are 7 and 8, and you have to be active. So this is, you at least have to do 1 day a week, 1 hour. Not that big of a deal. So.
Well, that's good. That's about all you can do then.
Yeah.
Get them in once a week.
Cool. I do want to go 2, maybe 3 more gym questions.
Yeah, of course.
Number 1, what is a non-negotiable in your gym?
Ooh, that's a great question. And I'm gonna think about this for way too long. I think non-negotiable is, you have like everyone is an autonomous individual. They have freedom of choice. So no, not making anyone drill or roll with anyone in particular, I think is like, I never want anyone to be uncomfortable in any situation. And so I don't want people to feel bullied ever or called out or like they have to do something that they're not comfortable with. So that, and having other people respect that. So it's not just like me saying that, it's making sure that everyone on our mats that trains with us, they know that they have to respect people in the same way that they want to be respected. So
Cool. I like that answer. And then kind of a gym culture. You said you listened to episode 3 on your way here. So you know there was some toxicity in that episode, toxic talk. But how do you have people come through your doors? Here at Underground, it's pretty like people kind of weed themselves out pretty easily. But how do you handle someone that just like the aura is toxicity around them? How do you handle that in the gym?
That's a challenging question for sure, because like as business owners, you want to grow your business, right? And you don't, when you get somebody new and you're like, all right, we got a new person coming in to try out, potentially new member. They come in, they're looking for something that's not what we have, and it's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
We, I think early on, but when we first took over, and to be honest, we were kind of running the gym for like 2 years before we bought it and took over. So early on, we were just like, yeah, everybody's coming in, and fine, we'll sign up whomever. And there wasn't as much, we didn't have the identity of who we wanted to be as a gym and what our values were, how we wanted to grow the, culture that we had, that we were going towards. And like you were saying before, were we going to be competitor gym? Were we going to be a bro gym where guys are sparring no-gi with no rash guards on, or are we a family gym? Like, what are we looking for? And none of that is wrong. It's just, what are we trying to be?
Right.
And I think, part of us is our style and our approach is we are a family gym. We want to be welcoming to everybody, and we want everybody to be able to come in and walk out the door, like on their 2 feet, and not be worried about getting injured, because everybody's got to go to a job. We're not looking to necessarily breed, the ADCC champs, the, pedigo fighters who are sleeping on the mats all the time. And that's just not what our environment is about. That's not what our, the makeup of of Delavan is either. So I think when we get somebody who comes in the door, we just know it's not going to be a good fit. Like, we tell them up front too that with a tryout, it's for them to see if we're the right fit for them, and also for us to see if they're a good fit for us, for what we are as a gym. And we will, we're not past giving people other locations to go to. So over the summer, we had a pretty good flood of, I don't know why, I don't know what event was going on, but we had a bunch of like 18, 19, 20-year-old guys coming in who only wanted to do like MMA style no-gi. That's not what we're looking for. We don't need an 18-year-old who was like getting up to his peak of testosterone, coming in trying to rip my head off, trying to break April's leg, trying to take our 48-year-old new white belt who owns his own plumbing business to like break his arm. So we're like, okay, that's what you want. We can help you find the gym that's a good fit for you. That's going to be that style you're looking for. And we're not, afraid to have those conversations with people anymore. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's probably one of the harder things about owning a gym is like the people that walk through your door, and obviously you care about your members, want to keep your members safe, but you also want to grow the business. But it's like, well, what's going to be our best business practice? Because if you get those people, sometimes it's going to take your people that you already have out too.
Yeah. But that's it. I think we just elaborate that on a little bit more. We have realized, and we've always known this, but I think verbalized it more lately, is that the best way to grow your business is to take care of the members that you have.
Yeah.
Right? Because keeping them healthy, enjoying their experience is how you grow. It's really the best way to grow is reference and word of mouth, and people's experiences, bringing in similar individuals. So we're not ever going to compromise our members in that way. And as part of that, we also stopped doing any like New Year's discounts or sign-ups or any promotions ever. We don't offer that to our current members who've been with us. We're not going to try and cheapen our environment to get new people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely quality over quantity. I mean, if you have the quantity, like you've got all those people on the mat, but what is your quality of instruction and what is the quality of the person that you're actually putting back out on the street? So I like that. Cool. I do want to step into your new business
Yeah,
that you just started. Do you want to touch a little bit on it for us, please?
absolutely. So obviously Cornerstone, BJJ, that's our gym. But in addition to that, like, diving full force into jujitsu as my like life, my livelihood, my business, um, training and strength training and nutrition have always been like side hobbies and passions of mine, and of Tom's as well. And I think that's one of the things that helped us nurture our relationship 20 years ago. We met and started dating, way before jiu-jitsu was even on our minds. So we'd thought about this for a while and decided to expand the Cornerstone umbrella and open sort of a parallel business, which is Cornerstone Life. And that is personal training, strength training, nutrition coaching, um, all really for anyone. But my emphasis and my focus is on women who train jiu-jitsu, and supporting their growth in the sport, their longevity to do jiu-jitsu, um, by having not just muscle but really strong joints, strong bone density, the things that we need to start taking care of early in our life, but most women don't think about until they get into their 40s and are like, oh, my bone density is starting to go down, or I'm in perimenopause and I'm experiencing all of these changes. And I don't know if I'm going to keep training jujitsu or if I'm going to do something else because it just doesn't feel right. My body's not tolerating these things. So, for myself, I'm 44 and I started training 8 years ago when I was 37. And I'd already had a good background of strength training for a long time. I said like 2020 time frame, maybe 22, remember exactly. I sprained my LCL, total mishap in the gym, complete freak accident, where I thought I was doing burger properly and I was not, and I ended up spraining my LCL. I use a method called ATG, which if you've ever heard of with Ben Patrick, so for toes guy, that's ATG or Athletic Truth Group. I used that to rehab my knee then. And then last year at the Chicago Open in the summer for IBJJF, as I was preparing for Master Worlds, my opponent in my first match jumped guard on me, and she nearly blew my knee out.
That was a rough video to watch.
It was. I know. I have a hard time looking at it.
I hate it. When you posted that video, I was just like,
yeah.
oh.
She jumped, and my left knee just basically like folded, and it's this really loud crunching noise, and I couldn't walk. I was on crutches for like 4 days afterwards. Thankfully, and miraculously, I didn't have any torn ligaments, or if I did, it was nothing serious. And I waited for the inflammation to go down. I didn't go to the doctor. I just waited to see, can I walk and can I get to a point where I can take care of myself. And so, one moment, I was just like, oh, see why anymore.
There we go.
Okay. All right. We're back. So anyhow, that training that I had started doing when I first sprained it, I think really built up the strength of my knee ligaments and tendons and all of the connective tissue around, so that when she jumped, I didn't have a catastrophic blowout. I used that same program to rehab. I was back rolling again probably within 6 weeks. Training judo again within 8 to 12 weeks, and I don't even really think about it much anymore. And so for me, the importance for any athlete, but of course for women, because we do go through a greater decline of bone density, of muscle deterioration as we age. strength is critical, I think. I want to be rolling forever, until the day I die, pretty much. Even if it's not super intensely, I want to be involved in the sport, and I want to help other women do that too. So that's where offering now strength coaching and nutrition coaching is kind of the new side business.
Cool. Is that in the same building as the current gym?
It will be, so for actual personal training space, we have 2 locations.
Okay.
One is going to be a space at the gym that all of our members are actually able to just use that space anyhow. But that's kind of the smaller, more efficient, but totally personal, private training. It's not like open to other people. And then at home, we have a fully built out garage gym.
Oh,
that
cool.
We've just been building for ourselves for 10 years, and now with the change in business and adding it, well, this is perfect. Now we can start training people here.
Sweet. Yeah, your 2-finger pull-ups. I'm like, what the heck? I can't even do 1 pull-up. You post those videos, and I'm just like, oh, I'm weak. But
it's just like jiu-jitsu. You got to do it to get better at it. So.
Yeah. Awesome. What is your goal is to kind of focus on women with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Is Tom doing that one as?
He is. Okay. Yeah. So he's doing he is certified for ATG. We both have that certification. That's our strength training program that we're doing. And really what that focuses on is like strength through full range of motion. So think about strength of your elbow when you're in a fully locked arm bar, right? And being able to defend or survive against that, or prevent a catastrophic injury if somebody were to, rip it. So strength through full range of motion is really kind of the major tenet of it. There's a lot more to it as well, but that's kind of a good way to summarize it. He's focusing on men. With nutrition, we're kind of both focusing in our respective groups as well. So yeah, currently targeting women in jiu-jitsu, really any woman. Actually, I'm doing some training with like my cousin and my sister right now, who are very, very not athletic people. So just getting them to a point of being able to be somewhat athletic.
Cool. Is it all in person or is it online?
It'll be online as well. Yeah, virtual. So some remote training. I have ambitions to build out a school and make it more broadly open to all women, across the world, really, who would be interested in some strength training programs for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But that's a work in progress and does not have a date yet.
Okay, cool. Do you want to plug yourself on your socials so if anyone listening is interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Cornerstone. Oh God, I don't even remember our handles. Cornerstone Life. I think is the social for that, for the main business. Otherwise, I'm Rachel _Llanas for my personal page, which I'll have everything linked to it as well.
Cool. So we'll link everything in the description.
Yeah, we'll put the links in our description. But awesome. Yeah, I love plugging people if I can. So holy cow, we're at 53 minutes. Do you have any questions?
I have 2. I have one kind of based off of your new venture, which is do you or will you have anything like a program or anything like that for women specifically who are trying to cut before competitions? And like advice on how to do it safely, how to do it healthily, and bigger, smaller, just maintaining those goals.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've thought a little bit about it. If I do that, I need to invest a bit more into it. To be perfectly honest, because I've done my own cuts.
Right.
They've all been like unhealthy water cuts, and anytime I've done them, it's never worked out very well. So if I were, I definitely want to get a greater understanding, I think, of how to do it long term for over a longer period of time. I followed like Megan Grandotti for a while, and I watched like a ton of her stuff on cutting, and you have to be careful as a woman. I think to cut hormonally, it's wreaks havoc on
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to advise it to anybody if I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it myself.
Right.
Yeah, her cut that she did for that, was it the Helena match?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she went from like what 165.
I think it was
higher
165 to
to
145.
145. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because Helena cuts too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they
why
could've done
didn't
it at
why didn't they
155?
just do it at
I know.
155? I don't really. That was all I was gonna say.
Okay, well,
Did you want me to ask a question too?
do you have questions?
I do have.
Okay, perfect. Then ask your question.
So going back to the personalities part of it, not specifically that, but about that. One thing that I wasn't anticipating was the attachment that you get to families, mostly families. I mean, people in general, but mostly like the families, because when you get a big family that comes, mom and dad will train or kids, and then their lives happen and they leave. Various reasons. You know, a lot of times it's not even because they don't like the gym, just their life changed. How do you personally handle that? And I'm not talking about toxic gyms where you're like, I'm gonna hold on to everybody because you belong to me. I mean, I just mean genuinely like attaching because they become part of your life, and then you have to be like okay with them saying, no, we can't train anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's the initial or natural inclination is to think, what did I do wrong? You know, is there something that I did that changed even if they tell you up front, they're like, oh, life got in the way, we're doing these activities now, or, we're going full-time competitive into, like baseball or whatever sports the kids make.
Or they move.
Yeah, or they move.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think, there's always that initial reaction, even if it's preposterous to think this. You're like, what did I do? Could I have done something differently? Like, maybe they'd still be training, and maybe they wouldn't have had to move. So trying to separate yourself from that. If it's something where like they have to move and you're losing that, it's a loss.
It's hard. It's a loss. Yeah.
Yeah, because you grow so connected to them, and especially with kids, like you want to see them succeed, and there's such a joy, I think, in seeing kids do well and becoming like these tiny but really good humans. And when they leave, you're like, okay, that's that chapter, I guess, or my role in that chapter of their life is done. And I just have to maybe take pride in that I had a chance to be involved in it, and if they're moving on to something different, then maybe, it's the hope that they can remember this as a good experience that helps them to be a better human as they get older.
Okay, I think
it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
2 more questions, and then we have rapid fire.
Okay.
Get ready.
There's only a handful of them. But since you've been through different roles in the gym, I want to ask, because you went from a white belt just starting at an already established gym to now a brown belt owning your own gym. What do you think the biggest difference is from white belt Rachel, who's just a student of the sport, to now brown belt Rachel, who owns her own gym?
I mean, probably my own ego is different. So yes, I joined with Tom. So I had a male partner who I was going in with, but I've always been that woman who's like, I can do anything a guy can do. I'm like, oh, you're gonna go like climb this wall, I'm gonna climb it with you guys, and I'm gonna be able to lift this weight. I can, whatever it might be, stupid competitions that I would try and do with my guy friends in high school, in college, and after. And I think coming in as a white belt, I definitely was like, I have things to prove as a woman, and I want to earn my spot on this mat, and I don't want these guys to look at me and then walk away because they don't want to roll with me. So it would very much be an aggressive, I had my own aggressive style then. Yeah. And now brown belt Rachel owning the gym, training for 8 years, I know my role, like my training is secondary to making sure that everyone in my mat space has a good experience, that they're getting the training that they need, and that they're going to come back. And, they feel safe, they feel welcome, they feel part of the community and culture that we've built. So probably putting other people first,
Yeah.
in front of me. And it's not that I don't get my own training in. I do, and I do a lot of studying. That's how I pick up new techniques
Right.
now, is my own studying. But I have to put everything else in front of my own training now.
Yeah. Cool. And then last question before rapid fire. One piece of advice to women in the sport of jiu-jitsu, whether they're just getting started or they're already 8 years in.
Yeah.
What's your biggest piece of advice?
I think compete. I think competing is important.
I love it.
When I started, I competed a lot at weight belt in any bracket too, like, because there weren't a lot of women, even at weight belt as
Still
well.
isn't.
Yeah, there's still not. So, I think with like doing the local comps, doing local or doing IBJJF or doing EDCC or doing whatever sub only comps you can get into, just do it. Go out, test yourself, because one, as white belt, I would be like, I don't care what age group you put me in. I don't care what weight class you put me in. You need somebody, I'll do it. Like, I would be rolling with the, super heavyweight women, the 195 pounders at 130.
Oh my gosh.
Because they needed somebody. And I'm like, well, if I don't do it, they're not going to have a partner. And so they're going to have a bad experience. And
A real girl's girl.
yeah, like, I want everybody to get as much rolling as they can in competition. And I want to get as much rolling as I can in competition. And so it's just go do it. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter. I think you were talking about this in the last one about doing the ADCC advanced brackets, and like, I had no place in business being on the mats in this competition. I mean, maybe not in the competition, but I had no business being on the mats rolling against Jasmine Hocha once. But I did. I had the opportunity.
Was that a Midwest Finishers?
Yes, it was Midwest Finishers team comp, and I had to go against her. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I literally flew in from like a work trip like on Friday. And
Did you get kicked in the face?
No, I didn't get kicked in the face. She did armbar me pretty quickly. I think within like 20 seconds or 25 seconds. But still, it was whatever.
Hey, you got to compete against her.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to compete against someone like that. That's like when I do those advanced brackets, it's like, oh shit, who's gonna sign up? But then I'm like, oh shit, who's gonna sign up? And who am I be able to say, hey, I rolled with this person?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So yeah, compete no matter where you are.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay, I have 2 questions now. Sorry, really quick. Going off of that, what advice do you have to women who are in the sport, who are wanting to compete but are too nervous or don't know if they're ready to compete or things like that?
Yeah. I go watch one then. Go to a competition, watch it. Talk to some of the other women, who are competing. Like, if you can, just ask them questions about it. Maybe see if they're. Oh, I would love to do this in our gym, in general, but even more so for women who's doing like in-house competitions. So, or having like in-house style rolling where it's set up with the rule set that you might be thinking about competing. Because then it's kind of at least introduces you to the style, but you're not going out for like a medal, you're not in front of a big crowd, and it can help you ease into it. So just like getting that little exposure to it, and seeing what it's all about, and that it's not going to be so scary, especially for women. Like, you go, you compete, you finish, and then you're hugging and you're best friends with your partner.
We're ridiculous when we compete.
I remember being so upset after ADCC that the girl I competed against, like, she was gone already. I couldn't find her anywhere. And I just wanted to like go say hi and be like, holy cow, you're such a badass.
Yeah.
Like you whooped my butt, but like it was so cool. And I was like, man, she's already gone. I can't find her anywhere.
I'm gonna be friends with her.
I know. I did find her on social media though, so I got to say it on there. But I love that. My other question is just kind of a random one, but what was your kind of like aha moment of after you started jiu-jitsu where you're like, I'm doing this forever. Like I'm never gonna quit. Or if you have one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think just that first day. No. No, probably. There are a couple instances. So there used to be cameras around the gym that would film like all the rolling. That tech was too complicated for us, so we're not gonna invest in figuring this out right now. But what it did was catch, and I go back and watch some of my rolls when I was a white belt, or even just remembering the days, because I can't, like, the first time you get a technique on somebody and you're just like, oh my god, like I did the thing and I finally figured it out and it made sense. And there were like two in particular. One was me like getting a knee bar out of like escaping from a closed guard as a white belt, and I got it in live rolling on my partner. And then one was like the first time I finally got a triangle in live rolling, and those two things were like, oh, this is amazing. And like again, it's starting to click, and once you start feeling it click, it unlocks the potential, I think.
For sure. Cool. Any other questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Rapid fire.
Okay.
Gi or no gi?
Gi.
Gi. Dang.
I love them both. I've grown to really love the complexity
Yeah.
of gi. And I'm not even like a big De La Riva player like Rachel Llanas.
Yeah.
But I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. What is your favorite submission?
Broadly, triangles from everywhere. My legs can just sense them now, wherever.
Yeah.
Currently, anything I can get off of a crucifix. Like,
Okay.
crucifix is not my favorite position. So there's actually, in the gi, there's a really good choke that you can do, but you need the lapel for it.
Yeah.
So it's called the leg decapitator. At least that's what the guy who made it came up with it.
Well, it's got a cool name. So.
Yeah, so that's probably one of my favorites right now.
Cool. You do compete. So do you like playing more of a submission game or a points game?
Yeah, I would say if you would have asked me like 3 years ago, I would have said submission. Now, I mean, I always want to win by submission, but I think with points, what it's come to mean to me is that I am like completely and utterly dominating another human being.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And so that's where like the points I would say now. And I do a lot of IGDM now, so
yeah.
I gotta go that route.
Yeah, for sure. Would you rather wrestle? Wow. Wrestle or pull guard?
Wrestle.
And then do you like leg attacks or upper body attacks better?
Upper body.
And then last one, training wise, do you like to have music on the mat or do you not like having music on the mat?
Music. It's so weird. If there's not music playing, like the days I forget to turn up the speakers when we go into live rolls, this is just weird. Because you hear a bunch of people like grunting and breathing heavy.
Last night, we had that concert last night.
I was surprised that there was no music on.
I
was actually really surprised by that.
I wasn't as surprised, but these men were just like heavy gorilla breathing, and I was just like, this is so awkward. Like, and I'm like, but you can tell your choke's getting tight because he's starting to gurgle, and everyone in this room
there
can
was
hear it.
two like deep gurgles. I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, that is all I have. Is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I just that I think this is awesome. I think what you ladies do up here is incredible. So, yeah, I don't get to come up just owning and running my own gym and programs. I don't get to come out to as many women's open mats and seminars and classes as I would like to. But
Same.
I know. Like, I just, at some point, I do need to, like, take a night for myself or a day for myself and start making the rounds because I think it's such a cool vibe you have and it seems like a really good group of women.
Thank you. Thank you for that. But thank you for joining us.
so much.
Sorry about the
No,
technical
look,
difficulties. I am ordering new mics today. They're expensive, so we put it off. But we're gonna get new mics. But thank you again for coming on, and I'm going to remind you guys to always.
Roll.
Roll.
Oh, she did it too. Perfect.